Jeremy Shaw and me, John Hindhaugh, in the booth. We're almost ready to go racing. Our Continental Tire pit lane reporter is Shea Adam, picking up some stories from people who didn't have such a great day yesterday. Shea?
It was a rough day for the Acura team and Michael Shank Racing. Jeff Siegel, lucky for you, it was the other car, and you didn't really need to take away any of the spare parts bins to repair the 93. What all was going on with that car?
Well, the team did a great job. There was an unfortunate incident in the second practice, and with the compressed schedule here, obviously no time to go back to the trailer and fix the car, but the guys did a great job. They put the 93 car back together, got Catherine out there, and she threw down an epic lap. P8 with an epic lap. We got work to do. Some of that's under our control, some of that's not, but we'll keep our heads down and keep working on it. We're looking for good points here, get out of here with our noses clean, and then I think the season kind of settles down into some regular races and regular race tracks, and then we have a better idea of where we are. But I just can't say enough about the effort by Michael Shank Racing and HPD Honda Performance Development. They've been thrashing, they've been pushing like crazy to make this car faster, and we're getting there.
And you're in the 86 today. Hard to believe you have never been to Long Beach before for a race. Your co-driver, Oz Negri, has a lot of laps around here, though. What has he told you about what to expect from the racing?
Well, we've talked about it a lot, obviously. That was a huge asset for me to be able to hit the ground running and know what's what. So we did some simulator work together, and then obviously the track walk, watch a lot of videos, and that's invaluable. For me, you know, it's just recognizing sharing the car with somebody over the course of the weekend. You're not going to get a lot of seat time. So, you know, better to operate at 98 or 99% and see what more you can squeeze during the race than go 101% and have it bite you.
Good luck today.
Thank you very much.
Sage words, I think, there. Shea Adam, our Continental Tire pit lane reporter for the 100-minute race on the streets of Long Beach. Jeremy Shaw, minimum drive times this weekend is something that we kind of really don't have to worry ourselves about because of the short nature of the race. They've been reduced to almost be an incidental thing here. You'd have to be very unlucky not to qualify.
Yeah, I think it's 40 minutes, I think it is.
In the GT Daytona class.
Yes,
and in the Pro class, it's 5 minutes?
No, yeah, the prototype, the GTLM and prototype cars is really not a factor at all. It is 5 minutes, but if you do the first lap, you'll pretty much qualify for that. So for the rest, it's really only for GTD. I don't expect that to be a major factor.
What do you expect to be a major factor, Jeremy? Is
timing of any caution period.
Yes.
And making crucial pit stops and not making any mistakes that will earn you a penalty. The crews have got to be perfect in the pits. No spinning wheels, no running over air hoses, no dropping anything and let it run into the lane of traffic. The pit stops have got to be perfect here.
So the drivers have been installed in their cars.
30 minutes, by the way, sorry.
30? Okay, even shorter then.
Yeah.
Well, you should be able to make... I mean, if you start the race, you'd be unlucky to be pulled out. We have seen it happen before. The teams have decided to sacrifice a driver. The problem is, of course, with the amateur class, the Pro-Am class with GT Daytona, if one of your AM drivers doesn't get the time, then the car doesn't get classified. So yeah, you have to get that right.
Yeah, that rule has been simplified considerably over the winter, I'm happy to say. So it's becoming less and less of a factor. Last couple of years, it's been ridiculously it's been very complicated. Sorry, wrong word. Very complicated to figure out who scores points and who doesn't. This year, it's a lot simpler, and for the teams, it's much clearer as to actually what is required. So yeah, I think all the engines are fired up here. The cars look all good in front of us outside on the booth there. I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and it's so competitive. All three classes, John. Qualifying was tremendous, wasn't it? It was really, really tight. I would expect the same today.
Let's go to Shea Adam for some last thoughts. The cars are squeezed into what is it? Well, it's a long pit lane, but because IndyCar have got their own pit stalls, Shea, they've all had to be squeezed together, just 24 feet. And if GTD all comes in together, it's going to get very busy.
It is, and the two cars that stand to benefit actually from the number 90 Visit Florida car not being here, the Risi Competizione number 62, the GTLM Ferrari, and the number 28, the Allegra Motorsports Porsche, because they were on either side of that car. So the Allegra car has a little bit more room coming into the pit box, and of course Risi will have nobody when leaving their pit box, so they have a little bit more than 24 feet to play with, but for everybody else it's going to be chaos, especially for about about 10 GTD cars lined up toward the IMSA pit in end of things. There are no prototypes, no GT-LM cars separating them from each other. So if we have all the GTD cars come in together, that's going to be a hot topic place. But you guys were just talking about the fact that drive time comes into consideration. Alessandro Balzan drove the race here last year in GT Le Mans with Scuderia, of course. He only did about 2 laps before they pulled him out of the car. And then I think it was Daniel Serra, or was it Alessandro Pierguidi, one of the two, drove the entirety of the rest of the race. It didn't work out for them. But we're going to need to keep an eye on that because, of course, with the 2 pro categories and only a 5-minute drive time, I'm betting there are going to be a lot of helmeted drivers pretty much the whole race through.
Yeah, certainly the couple of the prototype cars will take advantage of that. I'm sure Ed Brown won't drive for that much before he gets out of the number 22 car. And we'll see how far Will Owen goes as well. He's gradually getting up to speed in that number 52 machine for PR1 Matheson Motorsports. But you were talking there about the pit lane. The other complication of the pit lane here is it's on a very substantial curve along the inside of the racetrack on Shoreline Drive. And what the complication of that is the fact that visibility from the pit lane to see your car coming towards you is not easy. Likewise, for the driver to see exactly where his pit is as he rounds that right-hand turn, it's really rather complicated. So the guys on either end of that curve have a little bit of a less of a disadvantage, if you like.
It's also very slippery in there as well, and getting your braking correct is very difficult. That was Jeremy Shaw. I'm John Hindhaugh. Shea Adam is our Continental Tire Pit Lane reporter. Hello to everybody here at Long Beach joining us on the public address system. 454 even is our scanner frequency as well here in the main grandstands and around the Shoreline Drive front straight area. 1 hour and 40 minutes, 100 minutes. The straight ton as far as timing is concerned. Our shortest race of the year. Strategy, however, perhaps more important here than at any other race of the year. It is such a tight window to get things right, and you're more likely to get things very wrong than find yourself looking in to gaining some positions. Track position here, absolutely key, and it will be interesting to see whether the teams are keen to give up track position when pit stops come. For the front of the field, the prototypes looking at around about 40 to 42, 43 minutes, if that, particularly off the start, having had 2 formation laps. The GT cars, the GT Le Mans and the GT Daytona, slightly different specifications, of course, but all quite able to do more than half the race on a tank of fuel. Their decisions considerably easier in terms of their strategy than the prototypes at the front. In our Michelin Countdown to Green, Jeremy Shaw putting it out there. It is not beyond the bounds of possibility, Jeremy, that a prototype may not be on the top step of the podium here.
Yeah, true. They're going to have to make their final pit stops almost certainly after the GTLM cars, so they're going to have to work their way through the field, maybe some of the GTD cars as well. So traffic is going to be a major factor. Cool to see that Ford Focus RS leading the field around here, and just a big thank you to Edsel Ford, who is here this weekend, along with Henry Ford III. Wonderful to see those guys here. They were here for a very special presentation on Thursday to AJ Foyt and Dan Gurney. 50 years ago this year, in 1967, they won the Le Mans 24-hour race. The only time the Le Mans 24 has ever been won by an all-American team, entrant and drivers. Great to see those guys here this weekend.
Lining up 2 by 2 for the 3rd round of the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. The green flag is in hand and it is in the air. We're racing at the Bubba Burgers Sports Car Grand Prix on the streets of Long Beach, and already the pole sitter under pressure from 2 other Cadillacs as they go almost 3 abreast, and there's a touch between the Mustang sampling car and that's the Mazda that's right in there, muscles its way through into 2nd place. Tristan Nunez was not going to allow Christian Fittipaldi to hold on to his 2nd position, which is where he qualified. Ricky Taylor in the number 10 Koenigsegg Minolta Cadillac racing team runs out into the lead with Tristan Nunez for Mazda in the Soul Red 55 now in 2nd position, and a touch. The 22 car goes around. Ed Brown has been spun by one of the Ferraris and he's caught that up, and one of the Fords is in there.
I think it's Joey Hand. Yep.
It is the 66 of Joey Hahn. That was a turn 5, and that brings out a local caution. We're still under green at the moment. If everyone can get going, it should be okay. I think that was Tony Wielander, the pole sitter in GTLM. Indeed it was. So that's the first two, exactly as you said in the Michelin countdown to green, catching up with the back of the prototype field.
Except he wasn't the pole sitter. He started third on the grid, and he'd got his way through to the lead. I spoke to Dave Sims, the team manager, before the start of the race. He reckoned that Tony probably should have been on pole, but he clipped the wall in turn 6 on his final flying lap, and that left him third on the grid. They knew they had a great car, but it's all gone wrong on the first lap.
Yeah, Wielander was leading the GTLM category when he got tangled at turn 5. Ed Brown is moving again in the number 22. The pits are closed. We're going full course caution straight away. Now, we have seen people trying to take advantage of this. So at least one of the cars is not moving, and it's the Wielander car. It's the Risi Competizione Ferrari that had made such a great start from third to lead GTLM at turn 5, trying to get up the inside of the car at the back of the prototype field. Exactly, Jeremy, as you predicted. Those Michelin tyres coming on song very quickly indeed for Wielander. He'd made the best of it, jumped both Ollie Gavin and the other cars, and Fat Joey Hand as well,
yep.
As he'd gone through to the lead of his class. But in trying to just get that little bit of a break, got inside Ed Brown, and everyone then caught up in the schmozzle at the exit of turn 5, and just nowhere for them to go.
No, it looked to me like Wielander got into the back of the number 22 car. I'm sure he was expecting the prototype car to accelerate off the corner, because that's what he needed to do to stay ahead of the other cars.
Well,
Let's have a look
and
at
he's
the replay.
defending as well against Joey Hand. Hand goes inside and outside. He's halfway along, and then he decides to back out of it. Ed Brown was not anywhere near the apex. I'm sure Joey would have thought he'd been seen there, because they were going through that corner side by each, and at that point you've got to think that the guy's seen you. He's up alongside, he gives you room. Wielander rides the curb a little bit though.
He's got to be more incisive there, Tony Wielander. He's just got to chuck it in there. If he makes a little bit of contact, I'm afraid that's what he should have had to done. He was half the way alongside. He hadn't made the pass clean, however, Tony Wielander. If he had left it braking a little bit later, he might have locked them all up. There might even have been a little bit of contact, but it wouldn't have caused that sort of an incident. And that's a great shame. He's out of the car.
And he's out. And the other person who lost out with that was the pole sitter in GTLM, which is Jan Magnussen, who is now down.
Where was he in that?
Well, he was the car that hit the back of the Ford, because he was in third position at that point, and hit the back of the Ford, had to basically stop, and everybody except Joey Hand and the Ford has gone by him. And he's dropped into the GTD category, which is led from pole position by the Lamborghini of Brian Sellers. The number 48 Paul Miller racing car. Jack Hawksworth in the 15 Lexus is in second position. Daniel Morad for Allegra, the 28 Porsche, is third. At the head of the field, it's Ricky Taylor from Tristan Nunez in the Mazda, and then Christian Fittipaldi. Let's go down to our Continental Tire pit lane reporter Shea Adam for this Risi Competizione Ferrari update.
Good news is that Tony is okay. He is being checked out by medical, but he got on the radio as soon as the incident happened. The crew, though, packing up, they're done. That was a hard enough side impact to the side of that Ferrari that they don't think that they can fix it, and especially with a 100-minute race, it's not something fixable in the pit lane if Tony even could get the car back. This now benefits the number 57 Stevenson Audi, because now they do not have a car pitting in front of them.
Into the pit lane, the 22.
Yes. And what's significant about this is this is Ed Brown. He is still on the lead lap. He is going to be able to make that driver change now. Johannes van Overbeek will get behind the wheel of this car during this pit stop, and he will go from here to the end of the race. He'll still have to make probably 2 pit stops, but this is going to be really, really interesting.
Well, the Nissan-powered Ligier pulls up. Shea Adam is there.
Quite a bit of damage to the right-hand side. It all looks fairly superficial, though. It's just mushed in a little bit. Ed Brown not getting out there, pulling the engine cover off. Had the 5 minutes actually lapsed when the caution came out, because that is the minimum time. And ESM running the full championship this year. They are going for points. Mechanic just reached his hand in by the exhaust and then pulled it out shaking. There is a bit of damage up by the exhaust pipes of this Nissan engine. They're going to take a couple minutes to fix because it was such a big right side damage into the wall. Johannes, I don't actually even see, oh no, he's standing in the back with his hat and his headset on. He will not be getting into the car anytime soon.
Thank you, Shea Adam there. Yeah, damage on the right-hand side of the car done by the Risi Competizione car as it came alongside. The left-hand side damage. Oh, yellow flags coming out just as the 70 of Tom Long got down the inside of Misha Goikberg, and great work by the tape apes to give us that angle from the inside of the corner, with the double yellows just being put over the wall as Tom Long had made that pass into now 5th position over the bright yellow Misha Goikberg driven 85. Shea Adam, more news from ESM.
Ed Brown has gotten out of the number 22. He still has his helmet on. Johannes van Overbeek looking on from the wall. 22 is our second retirement because the 62 stopped a little bit further back on track. So that's 2 cars down within the first handful of laps.
Oh dear, that is not. And it's a shame actually, because the Nismo engine Ligier, the 22 car, was having one of its best runs of the season. Still a very, very new project there, with Ed Brown and Scott Sharp's ESM concern taking a customer engine supply deal from Nismo at the 3.8 twin turbo V6 from the Nissan GTR, the GT3 race engine, effectively being beautifully crafted into the back of that Ligier chassis, and then new bodywork formed with the Nismo and Nissan styling cues as the regulations provide. And they have had a difficult opening to the year, but certainly it found pace here on the streets of Long Beach.
Yeah, disastrous certainly for Risi Competizione, because Tony Vilander and Giancarlo Fisichella came, and the team and Ferrari came into this race in 3rd place in the points table in GTLM, but they're going to lose a lot of ground here to the leaders. They will still get points because they'll be classified 9th and last in class, but they'll lose at least a dozen points to whoever wins this race. So that's a great shame for them. We've had 2 different winners in the first 2 races of the season in GTLM. Number 66 Ford, which was also involved in that first lap incident. Johann de Dirk Muller lead on 67 points coming to this weekend, with a 1st and a 3rd place finish. Jan Magnussen and Antonio Garcia, the pole sitters today. They were also involved and lost a fair bit of ground in that incident. They have 63 points with a win and a 4th place result.
The 22 has now been pushed up against another wall. This is the pit wall because, of course, a distinct disadvantage of being at Long Beach. They can't move the car back to the garage area, so it has to sit in its pit box, while its sister car, the number 2, is 1 spot closer to pit out and will have to drive around the stricken number 22 for its service. Both those crew guys and the crew guys of the 25 BMW asked the race control if this car could be moved as close to the pit wall, causing them less of a disadvantage when they come into their pit stops, because of course the 22 won't be getting service and leaving.
That's a very good point.
I thought there's room down the end of the pits to pull cars out of the way, so a little bit surprised by that.
Okay, so that car is going to stay where it is, the RS Focus, in a very pleasant shade of Ford, lighter shade than I'm used to seeing of Ford Motorsport Blue, Ford Racing Blue, is leading the field around. We have already lost 10 minutes of racing.
Yeah, unfortunately.
This does help the other prototypes though, Jeremy. Not sure why, haven't seen why the yellows are still out. I'm going to presume that there's some issue trying to move the Risi car. Yeah,
it wasn't quite out of the way, I think. The truck, the flatbed truck wasn't quite out of the way by the time the cars are coming around the hairpin, so one would hope that next time around the track will be clear. We'll be able to get back to green flag racing. The lights are still on the pace car.
Just looking into the pit lane, and in the IndyCar part of the pit lane, there are people moving around with golf carts. Now they're behind a sturdily protective row of orange and white traffic cones, but I'm not sure I really like to see tyre carts moving contra race there in that part of the pit.
Well, it's a 35 mile an hour, I think, is the pit lane speed limit here, so it's really not a factor. They're well out of the way. The pit lanes are wide enough at that point. There's no side-by-side running in the pit lane, so that should be fine.
So
they've got IndyCar qualifying coming up
next.
Yes, exactly. So that's why that is occurring.
Under 90 minutes to go then. Any strategy that you had planned at the start has gone out the window. The light bar on top of the RS Focus has been extinguished, and Ricky Taylor sees that immediately and stops weaving around, gets his head back into race mode. Tristan Nunez, who made a fantastic start in the 2-litre turbocharged number 55 Mazda, will restart in second place. Clear damage to the front of Jan Magnussen's number 3 Chevy Corvette from where he ran in the back of the 66 of Joey Hand in that first lap incident. 4 cars involved, 2 of them are out, including the 62 Ricci Ferrari, which is now in the pit lane with an extremely deranged left front to that car, and that car will have to be dropped at its pit stall, I presume, by the recovery crew. The Ed Brown number 22 Ligier is also back in the pit lane, but will take no further part. The RS Focus in the pit lane, and we go green for a second time after the first full caution has cost us 12 minutes of the third round of the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. This time Ricky Taylor gets a much better start, using the torque from the 6.2 litres of Cadillac engine behind him, the big V8 punching him away, just taking Tristan Nunez's Mazda a little time longer to spool up as they head away. It's also, of course, an in-line start rather than a side-by-side, but further down the field. Big move down the outside for the 63 Ferrari. Now that is one of the GTD cars, but he's in behind. That's Christina Nielsen trying to put a move on Joey Hand there.
No, well, Joey Hand is coming back after being involved that early,
yes, exactly.
So he's working his way through that field. So,
but he did start ahead of Christina. Christina was trying to stay ahead of the Osnegri car, Los Naschenbach car rather, right behind him, the 57. And now Joey Hand gets into his stride at turn 6 as he turns down Pine, and then it'll be the right-hander on the Seaside.
Indeed, the heads-up driver there from Boris Sen, number 75, Sun Energy 1 Mercedes, saw the Ford coming up on the inside, left him plenty of room to dive down the inside. There's also Jan Magnussen trying to make a move on Jack Hawksworth. That Corvette clearly isn't very happy because he wasn't able to complete that pass. Meanwhile, out the front, it is still Ricky Taylor who leads, but oh no, there is Misha Goldberg has made a mistake, I think. That was turn 9, wasn't it?
Yes, it is. It's the end of Seaside as he turns right. Should have been turning right. Very bumpy. Just left his braking maybe a couple of feet too far. He hasn't hit anything, locked up the rear Continentals, but he's got to try and find a reverse gear and get him out. So we are still under green flag at the moment. The leaders are working their way through lap number 8.
Tristan Nunez staying right with Ricky Taylor, and Christian Fittipaldi there as well. And 1, 2, 3, number 10, number 55, number 5, absolutely no tail as they come through turn 9 onto Seaside Way. And in GTLM, isn't it cool to see the BMWs up there? The BMW team RLL, Bill Orbelin, the local guy, in second place in the class, right behind Laurent Vantour in the number 912 Porsche, and John Edwards in the second BMW, also there in 4th place, right behind Oliver Gavin in the number 4 Corvette. Comes the cars off the hairpin to complete lap 8. Number 10, number 55, and at number 5, there's Ricky Taylor, Tristan Nunez, and Christian Fittipaldi. Yes!
Seeing these cars getting up towards 175, 180 miles an hour on a city street where for the rest of the year it's 35 miles an hour down here through the fan section, as ever, looking pretty as a picture. And Ricky Taylor now into the groove. 1:16.4 last time around for the black number 10 Konica Minolta Cadillac DPI. Tristan Nunez for Mazda in second, just beginning to come under pressure from Christian Fittipaldi in the 5 car, the Mustang sampling entered machine. So 3 Cadillacs, 3 different teams battling together. With the third car, the 31, the third of the Cadillacs, it's the Whelen Engineering Racing Team. 5th position, Eric Curran. And he's got Tom Long in the Mazda in front of him, so Tom's made up another position. Now up to 4th, Tom Long, the man on the move at the moment.
He is, he made that move on the last lap, and he's doing a fine job there in that 4th position. So Mazda's 2nd and 4th.
It's slightly, the 31 car just hasn't looked its usual self this weekend. Normally, 31 and the 5, formerly teammates of course. Normally the 31 and the 5 have nothing between them. But whether it's the change of team name or just something about the city streets this weekend, but there's been more of a gap between those cars than I can remember seeing since we've seen the cars in the IMSA Sports Car Championship. They're rather like the Corvette. Ooh, big damage on the front of the number 66 Ford. Patrick Pele has dropped right down in the 911 Porsche as well, down to 20th. Oh, sorry, he's on his way back up, isn't he? He started at the back. My apologies. I was drawn to the 66 in 18th position because quite a large amount of bodywork's been lost from the front of that car now from Joey Hahn as he tries to go down the inside of Corey Lewis in the 16 Lamborghini. Now it'll be the outside as he turns right-handed onto Seaside from Pine at turn 8, and he's just about got that done. Pits are closed. I think this is debris, Jeremy. I think we've got Ford engine, oh sorry, not engine cover, but Ford front end on the circuit somewhere, and it's full course yellow. Number 2 with still 1:22 to go, and there's pieces of brake duct that I can see clearly. That is, I'm sure, the reason why. It's right on the racing line as well as the fast part of the circuit across the start-finish line. There's brake duct, there's a piece of bonnet there, or hood.
i.e. all sorts of stuff that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, shards of carbon fibre. Now, I think that this is a good time for prototypes to pit. And they'll be able to go with one more stop from here, Jeremy. What will be interesting, of course, is what the GT cars do. They will not be allowed to come into the pits, first of all. Once the RS Focus has backed up the field, they will open the pits, and it will be only the P cars, the thoroughbred racing cars, allowed to take the pits first.
No, this will be a quicker yellow, isn't it? Because a quicker yellows are within 15 minutes of a restart. No,
Jeremy,
well, there's so many things to think about. So the pits will not be opened. They won't be allowed to make a pit stop now.
Except I don't think the pits opened the first time around.
Correct, but again, for the same reason.
Because it was from the start.
Yes, within 15 minutes of the start.
Okay.
So there's an awful lot to think about. But think about this too. We were talking about Tom Long making a couple of great passes on lap 9. We've completed 11 laps now because they're just coming past to complete the first full lap of caution. On lap 9, Tom Long set the fastest lap of the race at 1:15.86. On lap 10, immediately before the yellow came out, the other Mazda, Tristan Nunez, set the fastest lap of the race at a 1:15.56. Both of those Mazdas are really running. They're brilliant looking cars. They look absolutely stunning. There's a Multimatic chassis, the Mazda DPI, the Sol red car is the number 55 in the 2nd position, and the gunmetal grey number 70 in 4th. Both of those cars looking very strong in the early stages.
Well, looking across to my left, I can see drivers standing on the wall, so the teams must think the pit lane is open. They are in line astern. Probably enough to say that as we're so close to the port of Los Angeles, about to be one of the mega ports in the States, the new bridge development being undertaken to allow larger ships to come through. Amazing renaissance for this area and redevelopment plan. They're backed up behind the safety car now, and we'll see very shortly whether the pits do open. Shea Adam is our Continental Tire pit lane reporter. Shea?
Well, if the pits aren't open, there are about 150 people standing on the pit wall for no good reason then, with tires ready to go, stickers from everybody up and down the pit lane. Jordan Taylor just got off with a high perch from the number 10, the leading car. He is going to be getting into that, so Ricky's job after getting pole, his day is short. I see Dirk Mueller up on the wall for the number 66 Ford. They'll have a little bit longer to do the driver change because I do see a nose piece ready to go on. The Riley guys are all up on the wall, both for the 33 and the 50 Mercedes, although there will be no driver change for either of those because that 30-minute window has not yet been hit. The light is now off, so we are going to get pit stops. Only the number 2 has come into the pit lane so far, and I don't see Ryan Dial up on the wall, but I would imagine that he will be getting in and Scott Sharp will be getting out. I'll let you know as soon as they hit their box.
That's an interesting one. So the leading cars stayed out. The number 2, Patron ESM, Ligier, and Shea Adam has got that car as it pulls up at its pit box.
And it is razzle-dazzle time. Scott Sharp jumps out from the right side door, and Ryan Dial has been installed in. 4 new sticker Continental tires going on to that Nissan. Kind of sad it had to drive around its stricken sister car, but they do not think about that right now. No problems going on. The number 85, the JDC Miller Motorsports, the bright yellow Orica comes in, and almost an unsafe release for the number 2 as it went back out, but no harm, no foul. There will be no driver change. Misha Goikberg is staying in the 85. No tires either. They are just doing fuel, and it's about to get really busy because all of our GTD contenders are up on the wall right now. Misha goes back out, and immediately we are ready for the number 57 Stevenson Audi. No driver change here that I can see. I don't see Andrew Davis ready to get in the car.
Thank you, Shea. Just hearing from race control, no further action on that first lap incident between those 4 cars, which has seen the 22 Ligier Nissan and the 62 Ferrari retired from the race. So no further action being taken by race control. So the pit's open. Only the number 2 car coming down the pit lane from the prototypes. Interesting strategy then from the Cadillacs. I wonder just how much of a line then we were being fed about their fuel consumption. But not all of the GTLM cars are coming in either, Jeremy. Certainly the leading cars have stayed out, and it's a Porsche number 912 of Laurent Vantour, who is scored as the leader from Bill Oberlin in second, then Ollie Gavin. But in has come John Edwards in the 24 BMW, the 67 of Richard Westbrook, and also, as they slip down, the 911 has come in, and the 3 of Jan Magnussen. So the teams seem to be splitting their team strategy if they've got 2 cars. Here's Shea Adam.
We have 1 Ford GT and 1 Corvette coming in. The 67 beats its sister car into its stop. It's going to be a little bit awkward for the number. Oh, now, yep, 66 is missing its hood. There is some serious damage to the number 3 as well. The grille that normally runs flush across has been punched in as they are doing a 4 Michelin tire change on this car, a driver change as well. Antonio Garcia behind the wheel. Down in Fordland, Joey Hand is out of that damage, number 66, as the Corvette goes back out. They did no damage repair to the number 3. The 67 has had its driver change and has gone back out as well. No damage repair on the 66 either. So right now we have 2 injured GTLM cars. No effort to try and fix them, as the 50 is the only car left on this end of pit lane right now. Gunnar Jeanette has been installed behind the wheel of that Mercedes, and he does an epic burnout to get back out on track.
So Ford, the only team there, Jeremy, that brought both of their cars in. Porsche left the 912 out, Laurent Vantour. He was qualifying the car for the first time as a works Porsche driver this weekend and took the start. BMW left the 25, Bill Oberlin, the mayor of Redondo Beach. Well, he was given the key to the city, actually, in fairness. And Ollie Gavin, the 4 Chevy Corvette, left out. Both Fords in, so that leaves the 24 BMW in. Martin Tomczyk installed there. Tonio Garcia in the 3 Chevy, and Ryan Briscoe into the 67 Ford with Dirk Muller in the 66. We'll give you the rundown on the GTDs in a moment, but we're back under green, and there's a battle for the lead, and it's Mazda versus the Cadillacs. 2 Cadillacs now, because Christian Fittipaldi in 3rd position is beginning to challenge, but it's two Mazdas. It's Cadillac Mazda as they go through the fountain at the 15th time of asking and sitting in behind there. Eric Curran has found some pace in the 31 car as well. And that's a very good restart by Tristan Nunez. Just had half a chance, but he was forced to the wrong side of the road going into the first corner. Ryan DL installed in the only prototype that stopped, and he will now have to pick his way through quite a lot more traffic than I think he may have expected, because we went back green and the field has been completely fractured here with cars coming out of the pits, and there's going to be big gaps through the GTLM and the GTD field. They weren't packed back up after their pit stops, and that will mean that the leaders are hitting traffic very much quicker than they might have expected. Ryan DL now up to, where is the number 2? Up to 19th position, and Misha Goikberg, remember, it was just fuel for the 85 car, so they're a different strategy for them at all. They're 18th position, but they've got half the GTD field, possibly more, in front of them, and then 3 of the GTLM cars. And this is what Jeremy was seeing in our Michelin Countdown to Green, the GTLM cars that have stayed out. Very interesting indeed. They could get track position here. Goikberg now behind Boris Said, through past him in the 75 AMG Mercedes-Benz. Let's go down to the pit lane to Stevenson Motorsport, Lawson Aschenbach.
Lawson, your car was very slow leaving the pit lane. What happened when Andrew got behind the wheel?
To be honest with you, I'm not really sure. We were kind of fighting an electrical issue since the race started, and obviously we got spun by the Mercedes there at the beginning. So just an all-in-all frustrating start to the race, but you know, it's still a long race, and I know Andrew will do everything he can to get us back on the lead lap and hopefully salvage at least a decent finish today.
But nobody can go from the end from here, right? One more stop?
I don't think so. I mean, it just depends on the cautions, right? So, you know, sometimes it's worth gambling. We may have to do that at the moment, but all in all, it's just a shame for everybody. I mean, it's been a bit of a trying weekend for us, and to have all these issues right at the beginning of the race is just not something you want to have.
Good luck.
Thank you.
That is Lawson Aschenbach talking to our Continental Time pit lane reporter, Shea Adam. Just a bit of breathing space for Ricky Taylor ahead of Tristan Nunez behind the wheel of the lead Cadillac. Ricky Taylor in the 10, Tristan Nunez in the 55. Christian Fittipaldi is dropping away a wee bit, and he's going to come under pressure in a moment from Tom Long. Eric Curran further half a second further back. Will Owen doing a cracking job of staying out of trouble in the 52. The Ligier, one of the LMP2 prototypes in the field, and here's the traffic that we had been expecting, Jeremy, and this is where Ricky Taylor's got to keep his wits about him, but the torque of the Cadillac tends to normally have an advantage. However, this weekend the final drive gear set has been mandated to a change and a spec from IMSA. First time we've seen that happen in IMSA competition, for the Cadillacs only, to try and negate some of the advantage that they've got coming out of the corners. Tom Long held up by the Core Autosport 54 Porsche, and now he's in trouble with Eric Curran right up his tailpipes. But the Mazda holding its own down the front straight into turn 1. Just about to get into that corner ahead.
Interesting, wasn't it? They were pretty even all the way down the straight, out of the hairpin and down the end as well. There is the leader in GTLM, Laurent Vantour, heading through turn 1 through the fountain section in car number 912. Bill Oberlin, some respectful distance behind, perhaps a second or so behind him, and Oliver Gavin in the 3rd position. Those are the only 3 GTLM cars that have not yet made a pit stop, so running a completely different strategy. Not at all surprised to see Corvette Racing and BMW Team RLL to split their strategies. A little bit surprised that the Fords didn't split their strategy. Both cars came onto pit lane. However, those Fords, as we've seen it before, have ridiculous or amazing fuel consumption figures. So we'll see.
I think probably they wanted to have a look at the 66 because of the damage, and the 67 had already decided they were coming in. I wonder if that perhaps wasn't quite as immaculately planned as we might have thought. Although, Jeremy, I'm prepared to be swayed. We know that Richard Westbrook drove at Master Raceway Laguna Seca for an incredibly long stint last year to take the Ford GT's first victory using the Eco part of EcoBoost in that 3.5 litre engine that is behind the driver. Same engine that was used in the Daytona prototype. Ford's powered for a couple of years before, so very much a race-proven unit. And that Ford GT 67 then in 23rd position overall, but still well up in the class and still crucially on the class lead lap. Indeed, I'm not sure there's very many cars that have dropped off the lead lap at all.
No, they're all on, no one has fallen off the lead lap yet.
Right.
In their respective classes.
Yeah. So Ricky Taylor with 1.7 seconds on Nunes. Nunes has 1.7 on Fittipaldi, and Ollie Gavin fancies his chances of getting up to second. Bill Oberlin repels the advances, going through turn 8 and on the Seaside, now braking down into turn 9. The tricky right-hander, can't take too much curve on the way in. Very unforgiving exit. I noticed the tyres that were there yesterday have been moved, so there's even more concrete wall for the guys to hit on the exit of turn 9. Across the line right in front of us, Porsche number 912 with Laurent Vanteur, the new Porsche colours, which when viewed from above form the shape of the Porsche shield, the Stuttgart city emblem incorporated into that. Laurent Vanteur with about 1.6 seconds across the line. It's nothing like that now. Stevenson Audi going a lap down to these cars, but they're not class competitors, remember. Stevenson Audi, in fact, the 57 car in its own battle with the number 96 of Brett Curtis. That's the yellow and blue BMW down the inside into the left-hander, turning on to Pine. It's 1, 2, 3 abreast as Ollie Gavin takes the opportunity. What a superb move by the Englishman. He's got to try and tough it out on the outside. He can't do that and cuts back in, and a bit of bodywork goes flying from one of those 3 cars, 3 wide down the hill as they turned off Pine and through the right-hander onto Seaside. Extraordinary driving by all 3 of those drivers, and they've got to do it again. Now Brett Curtis is the man with his mirrors full of a BMW, but not from the same category of racing. Then it's Ollie Gavin in the bright yellow Corvette. And coming through all of this as well is the prototype of Ryan DL. And he's got ahead of Misha Goikberg, by the way. So those prototypes that did stop are coming back through the field and now only have the GT-LM podium sitters at the moment between themselves and the back of the prototype field. That's been a very good run through traffic for Ryan DL, who we would have expected it from, but much less experienced. Misha Goikberg has done a cracking job. Yeah, he certainly has, hasn't he? Absolutely a good job this weekend, the Russian. Who lived many years in Canada, but new fastest lap of the race last time around, incidentally. It was by car number 5, the 3rd place machine. That's Christian Fittipaldi, who's in the tyres. Fittipaldi's done. Thrown it away, and with the lack of spares available to them because they're not near their paddock, he has put it in the wall, and it's a full course caution. And again, this is at the end of Seaside at turn 9. Well, Fittipaldi, he'll shortcut into the pits. Oh, he hasn't, he stayed out, and he's going to come in the conventional way. Now, if they've got a whole tail section, Jeremy, they might get that car back out. It just depends how many spares they brought, and this sounds ridiculous if you're not aware of the setup here, but the pit lane is not accessible from the paddock where these cars have their haulers and the rest of their spares, because it's the other side of the track, the way the serpentine track layout runs through here. There's a spare nose down there, says Shea. Is there a spare tail section for that number 31 Cadillac? Shea Adam is our Continental Tire pit lane reporter.
Spare nose and spare tail as the car comes in spitting out a lot of smoke and a lot of damage to this car. The crew have both available immediately on the other side of the wall. Driver change. Christian is getting out. Joao is very casually walking over to the side of the car. The pits were closed when he came in, so this will count as emergency service. They need to come back in when the green flag goes back out, assuming they can fix the damage.
Well, I can hear tyre guns there, that they are changing tyres on that car. They may just decide to take the penalty. They are going to lose a lap. That is, well, no, they haven't. They've sent him without doing anything else other than one tyre, which I think was the damaged tyre, Shea.
And looking at the right rear tire, there was a thin strip on that Continental. I would not count on that thing holding up very long. They sent him back out. They're going to bring him back in when the pits are open. So that counted as emergency service, but it's not good.
He shortcutted the end of the pit lane by a good car's length as well. He'd just gone past the Mercedes-Benz. Oh, he got help. He got help from the Mercedes.
What was the Mercedes
AMG.
thinking?
That was an extraordinary move from the WeatherTech Mercedes.
Got a Jeanette.
And one of the more experienced drivers. He'd just been passed down the straight by the Cadillac and then dived up the inside, or at least held his line and tried to outbrake the Cadillac into turn 9. That is an extraordinary piece of driving.
Something odd. I mean, it didn't look like Fittipaldi had a problem on the outside line there. Maybe he was. I had no idea on that one. That was really bizarre because he appeared to be completely past the Mercedes on the straight bit before he got to the braking area, and quite what happened after that, I have no idea. The cars, if you're watching the screen, the cars on the left-hand side of the screen, there are 3 or 4 cars that are not a lap down to their class leader, so they will be able to cycle past the safety car and pull around to the back of the field because they are still on the same lap in GTD.
Yeah, and that's great news for the Stevenson Audi. As Lawson Aschenbach was saying, he knew Andrea would try hard to get that lap back. Well, they've got it back now, and they can go back to racing the cars in their class.
Because he never actually lost a lap, at least not to his class
Only
leader.
to the race leader,
Yes.
Correct. Almost a little bit of an incident as well, as Christian Fittipaldi came out from emergency
Actually, maybe
service.
he did lose a lap overall, in fact.
He
did, yeah.
As Joao Barbosa exited the pits in the number 5, the RS Focus was blocking the exit of the pit lane, and there was just a moment's hesitation by Joao to decide whether he came out around it or not. Fortunately, the safety car driver saw him and gave him a bit of room, but then I'm absolutely certain that he cut the end of the pit lane.
They made the driver change then?
Yes.
You're not allowed to do that,
You're not allowed to make the driver change under emergency service, so that's why I thought it was still Fittipaldi at the wheel. But Joao Barbosa is listed in the car, so they're coming back in again. They're going to have to take a penalty for that. And for cutting the pit lane exit as well, I'm sure. It was being very carefully policed in the IndyCar practice and qualifying earlier on. I'm sure the IMSA race direction will be looking at exactly the same shot, which is straight down on the end of the pit lane. I think at this point they realise they're in damage control mode. They've dropped down to 8th position in class. Ricky Taylor, Tristan Nunez, Tom Long. So Mazda's 2nd and 3rd. Corporate headquarters not too far away. Coming down to the last hour. Please let us have some green flag racing here.
Yeah. We feared this might happen. But ironically, it really hasn't been the... well,
that was the GTT.
That was the GTT
yeah.
car. The first one wasn't. What was the second caution?
Yeah, it was for 2 areas of debris on the circuit. You're listening to IMSA Radio and IMSA TV combined live from the streets of Long Beach. John Hinoff and Jeremy Shaw. Not seeing much racing, I'm afraid. Always an issue here at Long Beach.
It hasn't been for the last few years, though, has it?
Well, you see, I wasn't here last year, so you had a decent race. I'm already getting the hashtag blame Hindy. We're coming back to green flag after the latest incident on the circuit. And Ricky Taylor. So we have 60 minutes of racing left. Let's try and get it green into the pit lane. Under green flag conditions, the GTD leader, Brian Sellers. That's interesting. Daniel Morad following him in, and Boris Said. So the Allegra Porsche, the 28 car, and the 75 Mercedes-Benz all coming in from good spots in the GTD field. Also coming back in, still bereft of a rear wing and damaged rear end, is that number 5 car, Joao Barbosa, at the wheel.
First, third and seventh those cars were, so I think that was a really good call by those teams. They've got their stop done now. They won't need to stop again, and when everybody else stops later on, if it's under full course caution, they will cycle to the front. Shay?
Brian Sellers out of the number 48 Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini. Madison Snow has been installed, 4 new Continental tires and a lot of fuel for that. In the number 28, the Allegra Motorsports Porsche, Michael Christensen, Daytona 24-hour winner in GTD this year, has been installed as well as Madison rumbles out the pit lane. Excellent stop by the Paul Miller guys. Fuel still going in for Allegra. Now they fire it up. Michael stalls it and makes up for it with a good burnout. We have the 5 back into the pit lane. The Mustang sampling car is here. They are checking at the suspension and ripping the back body panels off.
Great battling in GTLM as well, with the 911, the 66, the 67 and the 3 all together in traffic. And the Porsche of Dirk Werner has got the run down the front straight on the Ford. Tries to pull out to the left-hand side, which will be the inside for turn 1, but the Ford moves over. Perfectly acceptable into the braking area. Oh, but now he's coming back to the outside. He's not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to move around in the braking area. That will be getting looked at as well. Pick a side and stick with it. Very much more strict regulations here in the States about defending your position, and that was on the very edge of blocking there from the Ford. Fine to go down the inside, but then you can't move back in the braking area in response to what the car behind you is doing. Great battles through the GTD traffic. The BMW of Bill Oberlin leading that group.
Side by side through turn 9, that's novel. 3 wide into 10, that's even more.
Yeah, that was Tomczyk actually, because Bill Oberlin's just pitted. So that must have been Tomczyk leading that group in the 24 car. And how everybody got through that with their bodywork and liveries intact. Green flag pit stop for the 14 Lexus.
And number 4 Corvette of Oliver Gavin. He had taken over the lead after the pit stop last time around by the...
No, Vantour was still leading in the 912, I think, Jeremy.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Lawrence Vantour's lead, that's right. And the Corvette was in second place in the class.
And I'm expecting him to come in next time around. So in that last time around, Alex Sims has gone out in the 25 BMW, Andy Lally in the 93 Acura, Jörg Bergmeister in the 73 Porsche, Alessandro Balzan in the 63 Ferrari, and Wolf Hensler in the 991 Porsche. Shea.
Down here with the Corvette, the number 4, Oliver Gavin, has gotten out from behind the wheel. Tommy Milner in now, 4 sticker Michelin tires going onto the Corvette. And at the 912 will be coming in very soon. Kevin Estra on the wall, ready to go.
And at the head of the field, Tom Long and Tristan Nunez are chasing Ricky Taylor, but Eric Curran's right there as well now in the bright red car. And in the mix now, is the number 5 car. Now, the number 5 Cadillac is run out of the same awning as the 31, but does very sportingly pull out of the way for the 2 Mazdas. Great stuff from the guys there. Already now a couple of laps down after that incident with the number 50 Mercedes-Benz, the WeatherTech car catching the back end and off into the runoff at turn 1. Has gone the 52 of Will Owen. I was just seeing a moment or two ago how well he was doing, and he's missed his braking point at turn 1. He's not hit anything, Jeremy, but he's got to get that pointing in the right direction.
Indeed he has, and he's going to be able to rejoin. He hasn't made any contact with anything. Meanwhile, the leader in GTL, Laurent Vantour, has brought the number 912 Porsche onto pit lane. Here's a replay of what happened. Will Owen under pressure there from Ryan DL, elects to go straight on. He realized he'd left his braking a little bit late. More contact at the hairpin there between Corey Lewis and Colin Brown, I think it is, who's just taken over the wheel of number 54 Porsche. Here is a GTLM leader, number 912, Laurent Vantor, making his pit stop, handing over that car.
55 minutes to go, Jeremy.
Yep.
I think he can go to the end from
no
here.
question.
And he's the last of the leading GTLM cars to stop. And that could be at their advantage now. But he's got to make up some ground and get the track position in case there's another yellow flag. Great battles. Here's how they stand. Ricky Taylor leads by 1.3 seconds in the number 10 Cadillac from the two Mazdas, Nunez and Long, in the 55 and 70. They're just a second apart. Eric Curran still holding 4th position ahead of Ryan DL, now back up into 5th position in that number 2. The Nismo engined Ligier. In comes the 15 GT Daytona. That's the Lexus. The 5 is going to the penalty trapezoid at the end of the pit lane. And the 75 is already there, as there's a change for position in the top 3. Eric Curran has gone by Tom Long. And the Mazda number 70 drops back into 4th position, tries to go down the inside of the 912 and clips him into turn 9. That was not a smart move by Tom Long, and he's still trying to force the issue. This is the car that's just come out of the pits in the hand of Kevin Estre, and he gets a ding from behind from Alex Sims, who made his pit stop a few laps further back. And there's damage to the 912. Yeah. That was caused by Tom Long. Well, that is a disaster for the 912. They're the car that stopped last in the sequence, and that left rear Michelin is not going to stand up to that kind of rubbing on the rear guards.
Yeah, the BMW there, Estre had to defend from the BMW going into the hairpin after the prototype came around, and that was really, really tight down there. Meanwhile, a shout out to in GTD, the leader 15 Lexus making a pit stop. I think the 912 car should have let him go there.
I think in hindsight he'll say that, but he's sitting on the left-hand side of the car, Jeremy, and it's his corner.
You've got a camera in clear view on the dash there to see who's behind you. You've got these collision avoidance systems on the cars. He knows there's a car there.
My issue there is, what does Tom Long think he's going to do?
Number 48 car back in.
This is a penalty for the car that came in from the lead.
The pole sitter
entered the pits whilst closed. So this must have been earlier on in the piece.
That was at the restart then.
So the pits had not reopened when he came in. So that means there'll be other cars.
Will be the same problem in that case, because they came in
at the same time.
At the same time.
Correct. 1, 2, 3, 4 abreast as they come down the hill to turn number 8. And the Ford with the bashed front end is the 66 car of Dirk Muller. He's now back up into 4th position in GTLM. Tomczyk leads in the 24 BMW from Antonio Garcia, 6 seconds nearly behind. Then it's Ryan Briscoe and Dirk Werner, the two Fords, who are absolutely together. Spin! The 66 car gets taken around. Dirk Muller goes around Dirk Werner. The 911 Porsche was in close proximity there, but the 66 has not managed to get turned around, and now the rear wing is being clipped off by another car and sitting up against the wall. It's not in the way. That won't cause a full course yellow, but if the 66 can't get pointed in the right direction, that certainly will. I should think Porsche will be getting out the replay of last year and say, you didn't call us on it last year at the hairpin, you can't call it on us now and now. Oh, we've got it. This is terrible, terrible at a traffic jam. Dirk Muller has blocked the road at the hairpin, and everybody's getting tied up there. Overtaking under yellows. There's overtaking under yellows going here. Well, you've got to stop, Jeremy. You've got to stop. And the ESM cars overtaking 3 cars under yellow. And now the 85 does the same. Oh, this is going to take some sorting out. There's going to be protest. There's going to be all kinds of controversy about this. Never mind about the initial contact, but the contact wasn't called at the hairpin last year when it was a battle for the lead, so I'm sure it won't be called here. And Dirk Werner in the Ford just got a little tap from the Porsche that was diving down the inside. Well, it was tiny as well, but your car is so...
He's just lunged down there.
Well, I don't think you can call that, Jeremy. Yeah. You absolutely can't call that when you didn't call it on the last lap last year for the lead.
Yeah, agreed.
So that was nowhere near as bad as the one for the lead last year. And I don't think that's any different from what we've seen at other parts of the track.
I mean, he's held up here the second and third place cars there, and fourth place car. Tom Long lost a lot of ground. This has changed the race substantially. Dirk Müller, what should he do in that instance? Unfortunately, that's one of the things of street racing, and particularly a tight hairpin here. We always see incidents down there at turn 11.
Let's go back to the penalties now that we've got a moment. The numbers 28, 5, 48 and 75, a stop plus 60 seconds for coming in and taking service under a closed pit. So that included that leading car in GTLM. So when they came in at the green flag, the pit must not yet have been reopened. That's the only thing I can think.
Yeah, I must admit, I thought
the safety car hadn't been parked at the exit, and therefore the pits wasn't opened.
Well, that's a quirk of this track in that case, because generally speaking, I thought
there is a flashy marker, isn't there, that the teams can see?
Generally speaking, when you go back to green, the pits are open again. So that's something that should have been covered in a driver's briefing. I wasn't able to go to the driver's briefing, so I don't know whether it was, because generally the safety car will pull in, get out of the way, and then once everything's settled down, then it'll get to where it needs to get. So in this instance, unfortunately, parking the safety car apparently has had a massive effect on the outcome of the race in GTD.
It's the only thing I can think of if they didn't open the pits, because the Ford wasn't all the way down. So we are working our 457th full course yellow, and we're down to 48 minutes. The irony is that we were pretty red flag free. We had a 2-hour practice session at the start of the weekend where we got by, I think, with just one red flag for a couple of moments for a car that needed to be recovered, and we haven't managed to get anything like the green flag running we've seen in the race.
And generally speaking, if we haven't gone 15 minutes from the previous caution period, then we got what's called a quickie yellow, where the pits are not open, but we haven't had yet 15 minutes of green flag racing. So, and that is why on that second caution, much earlier in the day, the cars were allowed to make pit stops. So, honestly, I'm not quite sure where we are in terms of when the pits are going to be open and when they are not. But now, no doubt about it, the leaders will need to come onto the pit lane now, and the GTLM cars that have already made their pit stops, which is probably everybody now, are going to be golden, because they can, some of them at least can make it to the end on here for sure, but the prototypes also, they won't need to pit, is my point here, and the prototypes will, so they will come in now. They should be able to, with this full course caution and the fact that we're not going to be going green again for another several minutes, they should be able to get to the end of the prototypes without making one more stop. So it will be just the one pit stop during the race for them, but they are going to have to work their way through the GTLM traffic. It's going to be a mess.
Open yet. Pits are not open yet. Ryan DL has made a pit stop, of course, in that number 2
yes,
car.
But he does need to stop again.
I think he'll need to stop again.
No doubt.
The question is, does he stay out and take the glory laps at the head of the field? And also, by staying out, that means the field won't get reset, because he will be behind the safety car, and that will keep the other prototypes behind. Let's go down to Shea Adam for more penalties.
Of all the penalties that you listed of those cars coming in under the closed pit, the 75, the 5, and the 48 have served their penalties. The 28 has not. They are talking with the pit lane officials. They're trying to argue their side. But John, as you often say, arguing with the refs doesn't often work.
Thank you, Shea. They normally don't change their minds, do they?
No, and generally speaking, like I say, when we go back to green, the pits are generally open. You can come in and make a pit stop. But if the regulations were different because of this event, it will have been covered in the drivers' meeting, or at least in the team managers' meeting.
Yeah.
So it should have been clear.
Now, what's going to happen about that melee at the final corner? I would think that Dirk Muller's going to get a slap on the hand after the race, but there was all kinds of overtaking under yellow. You can try and argue force majeure, but yellow flags being waved, and they were for quite some time, means slow down and be prepared to stop.
Which they did. They did stop. The question is when they got going again.
Are you allowed to improve your position in that situation?
Yeah.
That's going to be the question. And certainly one of the cars there was one of the ESMs, and what I couldn't see. It must have been Ryan Daly, the ones out the race. Sorry, Hindhoff answering his own question there. Yeah. Kel Surprise.
Yeah,
it'd be harsh.
Tom Lockwood parked on the outside, and nothing he could do at all.
And he lost out massively there because he's now dropped down to 5th.
He only lost one position. He had been overtaken by Eric Curran before that melee.
Correct. This is how they stand before the pits are opened. Ricky Taylor leads for the number 10 Cadillac team from Tristan Nunez in the 55 Mazda, from Eric Curran in the Cadillac number 31, from Tong Long in Mazda number 70, from Misha Goikberg in the 85 JDC Oregon. And the pits are open and the prototypes come into the pit lane led by that black number 10 Cadillac. So going through, has everyone come in? Yes, they have, including the Nissan-powered Ligier. So going through to take the lead will be the BMW of Martin Tomczyk, I think. Shea Adam has the leaders from the prototype category, not now the leaders of the race.
Everybody in prototype except for the number 5 coming onto the pit lane. The 10 will be getting sticker Continental tires. Ricky Taylor getting out, Jordan getting in. I have the Mazdas. They have already hit their marks. Tristan Nunez jumps out of the number 55. He has boundless amounts of energy. I don't understand that kid. Sticker tires for the 55, sticker tires for the 70. Joel Miller has already been strapped into the gray Mazda, and the driver's side door is still open. They're just changing a drinks bottle. Tire change still going on, no time lost. The number 2, fuel and tires already back out. No driver change for the ESM machine. Ryan Dial staying in that car. The number 52 is also in. Will Owen getting out. Tom Kimber-Smith is in. Jonathan Lamarino does a really good sideways burnout to leave the pit lane. 70 is still in, so that stop has been longer than the sister car because they came in together. The number 31 came in for service. Dane Cameron. Oh, and the number 70 is being halted. Joel Miller started to do a big burnout to get out on the pit lane, and the safety officials stopped them. The right rear tire was not attached, and it would have come loose. It's already sticking about an inch out. Joel Miller now being pushed back into his box. Dane Cameron was getting into the number 31 fuel and tires for that one as well. And Steven Simpson in the number 85, the JDC Miller Motorsports car. They are now getting the air jack back out for the number 70. That could have been really bad. Very heads up by our pit lane official to notice, because the Mazda crew didn't.
Very well done by that.
Disaster there for the Mazda Motorsports team again.
Lose them track position unless they get a penalty as well. They're going to put a whole new set of sticker Continentals on that car, and as long as they get them out before he loses a lap, a new set of Motegi wheels and Conti tyres going on, because, and you might ask why would you do that, because they would have damaged potentially the right rear by it not being on properly, and therefore you want to put a matched set back on. And they're going to lose a lap. They are going to lose a lap, so that has cost them time. So even under full course yellow, they have lost a lap. They'll be held at the end of the pit lane. So that is it is a disaster, more than I anticipated there. Dear.
Unforced error there, I'm afraid.
Can't afford those any time, really, can you? But you'll never get away with the tracks around here. Yeah. Into the pit lane for one of the Fords. That's a 66 Shea.
Yeah, it is, and it looks a lot like the 67 did yesterday, because the rear wing is missing at exactly the same point. They are doing 4 new Michelin tires on that car, and they are, again, not addressing the damage. Now they take the back portion of the car off and throw it haphazardly onto the pit lane, bringing out a whole new component. That one has a wing attached to it. Hopefully it stays, but there is still damage to the front of that car as well. They are not concerned about that. Running without the wing is an issue. Running without the hood, not as much around Long Beach.
So the clock has ticked down to now, what, 40 minutes of racing. Now, in the pit stops, there was quite a big change because the number 2, it had been in earlier, Jeremy, so it needed less fuel than the 2 Cadillacs. And therefore, of the cars that stopped on that rotation, it came in last of them and is gone out at the head. Now, they're in 19th position with the GTD and all the GTLM cars to pass, but Ryan Dalzell is now leading the prototype class in 19th position. Now, it's not very often that we say that this is, again, a vagary of being on this street circuit and how things are playing out. But with 39.5 minutes to go, everyone is fueled to the end of the race, and it's a straight fight now through the traffic between the 2 Ligier Nissan of ESM, the Cadillac number 10 from Konica Minolta Racing, the 31 Dane Cameron Whelen Engineering racing car, then the Mazda number 55 of Jonathan Bomarito, Stephen Simpson now behind the Orica Gibson wheel, the 85, that's the JDC Miller Motorsports car, the yellow machine, and Tom Kimber-Smith is there as well in the 52.
Yes, but they've got to work their way all the way through the field. The 19th position is Ryan Dalzell. There's 38 minutes to go in this race. If there aren't any more cautions...
Tomczyk. Tomczyk could win this.
No doubt, but Antonio Garcia is going to want to win this race, no question about that.
As is Ryan Briscoe, as is Kevin Estre.
And Gunnar Jeanette, despite being involved in that weird incident that's up there with Christian Fittipaldi, is in 5th place overall and leading GTD. That's because he made his pit stop before everybody else. We talked about that earlier on. If you make your pit stop early and can get to the end, you're looking good on strategy. But how that he wasn't called for some sort of...
Well, we don't know yet.
Incident,
we don't know.
It's somewhat
We're waiting.
Surprising. But he does lead GTD. 2nd place then is Jerome Mull, who's taken over from Corey Lewis in the Change Racing Lamborghini. They had a good run at Sebring also. 3rd place in GTD, Jerome Bleckemolen, the winner at Sebring in car number 33. That is a Riley Motorsports Mercedes AMG GT3.
So basically what we've just done in
it's turned the field upside down.
Gaming terms is somebody's just cut the pack right at the bottom and we've started the shuffle there. Because it is everything to play for. With the top of this is the overall picture. BMW number 24 with Martin Tomczyk leads the race from Antonio Garcia in 2nd place. That's how they'll come round to the line. There's a Cadillac in there, but that's laps down. That is the number 5 car, which has João Barbosa at the wheel. So take that one out of the equation. It doesn't matter when it gets to the front. 4 laps down now. So Tomczyk, Garcia, Ryan Briscoe in the 67 Ford. Oh, and a big dive bomb down the inside from Boris Said. And the Stevenson Audi has to give way. The 57 car pulls out of the way and allows the 75 through into turn number 1. Those guys are battling for 25th and 26th position. And that was Tristan Vautier, my apologies, who's taken over that car. And he's a lap off the GTD pace, so he's trying to get back through the field in that 75 car. Wow.
Not a battle for position.
No, indeed not. That may be why the Andrew Davis car pulled over. He's in the battle with Andy Lally, but Lally's well up the road.
Excuse me, I guess Barbosa is only 2 laps down to the rest of the field.
Right, here's the battle coming through the field now, which should be at the front of the field, but they were there in position. And the 2 Cadillacs are right together, coming in the braking area for 9, and the one of the Lexus there, that's the 14 car that they had to go around. And that is a battle for 17th position. Sage Karen, well, bet your shirt on Sage holding on to that position, but he couldn't with the prototype, and side-by-side contact 991, Wolf Hensler with the 55 of Jonathan Bomarito. The Acura, I think, peeling off into the pits in the background there as well. No, that was the Porsche. It was the 28 Allegra Porsche, Michael Christensen.
Well, that was probably another penalty then in that case, because he came in at the same time as the number 48 car and the number 75.
And he hadn't served his penalty.
So that is why the number 75 car is way back, and the 48, because they had to serve that long penalty. Very frustrating.
Tomczyk leads by 1.1 seconds. BMW from Corvette, Chevy Corvette in second place, 35.5 minutes to go, 35.5 minutes separating the GTLM cars from an overall victory. The first time that would have happened in the dry, I think, in the history of the championship in its latest form, as the two Cadillacs are dropping away from Ryan DL, who's put Jens Klingmann between them and a couple of lap cars as well. And the two Cadillacs are holding each other up through traffic here. And Ryan DL, there will be a huge smile on the face of Ryan DL. Into the pit lane, the 911 of Dirk Werner. Now this must be a penalty as well. So he will trundle straight through, and I can only think that that's for contact at the hairpin. Well, might feel hard done by there, Porsche. You've got an hour to go in the race, and there's contact. Change for second place. And through goes the 31 of Eric Curran, second in prototype, I should say. Of course, I'm so used to seeing these cars at the front of the field. So Dirk Werner into the pits, and it was indeed a drive-through. We'll get Shane to confirm that that was for the contact earlier on. As I was going to finish my thought, I think Porsche might have reason to feel some inconsistency when Corvette, of course, will be delighted.
Year to year, I don't know about that, but
maybe that's karma. Contact confirmed.
The number 31 car is ahead.
Just gone through as described, and Eric Curran now has moved up ahead of the number 10 car, and in the 9th place, the 10 and 11th. This is going to take a while to sort out, isn't it, really? We're in unfamiliar territory here, with GTLMs and GTDs holding the top 7 positions and the prototypes fighting through.
Kenneth Jeanette there is battling with the GTLM cars. He's just lost out to the Corvette, but not by very much.
And now to Ryan DL, who is up then to 5th position. So BMW leads, Corvette leads, Ford leads, Chevrolet from Nissan Ligier. And no, I am not off my meds. That is how it stands. Yeah,
number 48 car on pit lane again there, so their nightmare continues. But what a run it's been for Martin Tomczyk here. Just his second start in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, leading a race, and you've got a goodly margin. You've got a second and a half over the pole-sitting car, driven now by Antonio Garcia. That is the Corvette number 3, as the number 31 car tries to work his way through the traffic, and he got blocked there, and the number 10 car goes through. Dave Cameron's absolutely blocked between some GTD cars.
Picked the wrong way there, didn't he? You've got to make those split sections decision, and that is battling for position, of course, so there's no reason for those cars to try and give way. They're in their own fight, but they're also battling for overall positions. And I really hold my breath every time I see those GT cars and the prototypes going around the hairpin, because the GT cars carry more speed into the hairpin. Let's have a quick update on the Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini, Shea.
Madison Snow has definitely been into the right side wall. There is some pretty substantial damage to the Lamborghini. The guys who put the car up on the blocks, it's going to be a long stop.
Thank you. Shea Adam with that Continental Tire pit lane update. Yes, it is a shame.
It was a great run by those guys, wasn't it? Because they were doing everything right, and unfortunately, with just a quirk of the track, I think is the only way to describe it, that they were called for making a penalty coming in for a pit stop right as we went green.
Oh, you've got to feel for Dane Cameron in the 31 car. He just had nowhere to go and eventually had to thread the eye of the needle. Following them through the 55, Jonathan Bomarito. He just got caught on the wrong side there. Great piece of opportunist driving by Jordan Taylor, who probably would have thought, oh, he's in the wall! Oh, Dane Cameron's in the wall!
Defending champion!
Oh, my goodness me, the 31 Whelen Engineering red and white Cadillac turning off Pine onto Seaside, and that's where he lost the second position, and this will be full course caution.
Number 5.
Number 5, full course caution. My goodness, if he's moved the wall substantially, if that's anything to go by that first hit. Now I can see him moving around in the car. The it was a safety team, the intervention Porsche Cayenne. So he turns in to, oh, he clipped the inside wall. Oh, and that's a big hit left-hand side. And he's moved the concrete blocks back about 18 inches, clipped the inside wall of 8 and hit the, that was the apex wall that he clipped there, Jeremy.
We've got that, the wall has been moved back on that thing. You see the curb from the overhead shot. I don't know why they haven't put a big curb there to protect cars from going over it and not, taking away the possibility of clipping that inside wall. There's markings on the road as if to suggest there should be a big curb there.
Yes.
Door
is open.
The door, oh dear.
Dane Cameron, the door is open. He won't be able to get out of the driver's side, the left-hand side of that car. And there's substantial damage. The car's done.
Oh yeah.
And Shea Adam is with the Whelen engineering crew.
Best news, team says Dane is okay.
That is good news. Thank you, Shea. And hearing, by the way, from race control that melee at the final corner, and I think this is probably pretty sensible. There would be no further action for anybody having to pick their way through the stationary cars. Yes, they accept that it was yellow flags, but extenuating circumstances presumably there, so no further action to be taken on that.
Still don't quite understand why there was no action taken on an incident between Fittipaldi and Jeanette earlier on, because
the only thing I can think, Jeremy, is, and we mentioned this before, is that there is a difference in the mechanical grip available between the two cars, and maybe race control thought that Gunnar was just caught out by the prototype slowing down a bit quicker than he expected.
Yeah, bizarre, because he's a vastly experienced driver, so he should know what his car is capable of.
We don't see very often. They're going to try to extricate Dane Cameron from the wrong side of the car, which involves taking the door hinges off that are pinned. And that is, so the right-hand side door is open, or are they just going to try and pull that car off the wall first? Dane reported to the team that he's fine, and the team reporting that to us. 28 minutes to go. Just 28 minutes between Martin Tomczyk and a famous BMW victory on the streets of Long Beach.
Yeah, he didn't need this caution period. It's bad news for him, because he had a pretty reasonably. He was about 6 or 7 seconds clear. I think Ryan DL was looking pretty good in any case at that stage before this full course caution. He was only a total of 6 or 7 seconds behind Martin Tomczyk and capable of going probably 2 or 3 seconds a lap quicker than the leading BMW. Still, it's a fabulous run by BMW Team RLL, splitting their strategies, of course, during this race. But I don't know whether he might need to make whether he would have needed to make another pit stop, or whether now he might be able to get to the end, because the 3 leading cars, number 24, number 3, and the 67, they all came in to make their pit stop on lap 13, which is a long time ago. And I think they might have been struggling to get to the end, but this caution will certainly help. I don't know whether they can get to the end from here, because we've not done an awful lot of green flag racing, so they've been able to save a heck of a lot of fuel.
Who was that?
The top 3 cars.
I think they can go.
I think they probably can.
I think it'll be very, very close. Let's find out what the thinking is down on the BMW pit wall. John Edwards is with Shea Adam.
It was John Edwards in the BMW that was 2nd overall at Petit Le Mans back in 2015. Well, you got an overall now running. It's a lot better to run at the front of the field, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really nice. And I mean, there's a prototype a few cars back, so I don't think this will last for long, but unless the yellows keep falling the way they do. But yeah, it feels great to be pit stop's done and Martin's in the lead, and even if we don't care about the overall win, it's nice to restart with clean air ahead of him. So he's been doing such a great job in the race. I mean, this is a really hard weekend to come to as a new driver, because he's never seen the place. First time driving the M6 on a street course, and he barely gets any practice time. So it's really a high pressure situation for him, but with 16 years DTM experience and a championship over there, I don't think he's new to pressure. So I hate sitting on the stand and watching, but full confidence that he can bring it home.
So with all these cautions, no concern about fuel. Does that mean he can turn it up to 11D stupid?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest concern now for all of us on the alternate strategy is just taking care of the tires, which the yellows help. But we made our fuel mileage with the last yellow, so we don't need any, we're definitely not coming in. We're going to run the tires till they fall off the car. So as long as he can keep the rear underneath him, then we're good to go.
Good luck, John.
Thanks very much.
I'll tell you what, that team deserves a bit of luck because they've absolutely none over the last 18 months.
Yeah, absolutely. 25 minutes just under to go here. Round 3 of the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. IMSA Radio and TV together in a beautiful afternoon weather-wise here on the streets of Long Beach. It's been carnage on the streets. Saturday night street fighting, well, Saturday afternoon has been a bit of a bust-up, hasn't it? And a lot of teams will have big repair bills after this one. Before we got started, the number 90, the Multimatic LMP2 from Visit Florida Racing. Tube done. Suspension damage pushing through there into the tube. We've also had the 62 Ferrari out, the 22 Ligier Nissan out, and now the number 5 Cadillacs are coming to damage as well. Excuse me, the 31 Wheeler Engineering Cadillac succumbing to damage as well. The 5 is back out into the fray after its tangle. No wonder the cost of LA living is so high if you've got to replace so many parts on your cars for 100 minutes on a Saturday afternoon. My goodness me. And it's not that long, is it, till we're off to Kota. There'll be some midnight oil burned. But the teams, I'm sure, will be delighted to see the wide open space of the Circuit of the Americas. You've got to try pretty hard there to hit something. Yeah,
the cars, the teams have got to get, most of them are based on the East Coast, so they've got to go all the way coast to coast back to their shops to repair the cars, and then halfway back out across the country again to get back to Austin.
That could be, hello Delara, can we have another tub?
Yeah, it's certainly, there's at least 4 or 5 days of transport and driving there.
That 31 car, that could be another tub.
Yeah, that was a heavy impact, wasn't it?
It takes something to move those concrete blocks back, and it was an odd angle as well that it hit. I mean, first of all, what we've got to say is these FIA GT2 tubs that all of these prototypes use, the ACO regulations for manufacturers. This is a Dallara, and they are all built to very exacting standards. And the fact that Dane was able to get himself out of that car, and the immediate report was that he was okay, that's fine. But that might be moving into life as a show car, that chassis now.
But let's reiterate, that was that number 31 team, Dane Cameron and Eric Cohen, defending series champions in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship, and that's going to be a big dent in their championship aspirations.
They just lost position with the number 10 car that they've been battling, got caught in behind traffic, and then just tried to pinch the corner on turn number 8 too much, and that is 45-degree angle straight into the wall, and the concrete blocks moved back. As Jeremy rightly said, just took too much of the left-hand curb and clipped the apex wall. Somehow Eric actually did get out of the left-hand side of that.
I would much rather see a proper curb put in there, a big curb to...
like they've done at turn 3 at St. Pete's, where they pulled that out and you actually have to slow down more to get around the corner.
Yeah.
I thought that was a very sensible move.
I can't see the point in putting that...
well, racing drivers are always going to cheat if they think they can.
They are. Yeah, that's a massive consequence there to a miscue of literally an inch, half an inch, and he'd missed the wall. And it's going to cost that team several.
Such an important corner that though, Jeremy, because you take all the momentum. If you can take a half a mile an hour or a mile an hour faster than that 10 car in front through there, that might turn into 4 or 5 miles an hour and a passing opportunity into 9, and that's what he was trying to do. You can't fault him for that.
No, because he'd made the pass, then he'd lost it again, so he wanted to get it back again. You know, this the number 10 car that's on a streak at the moment. He's already won 2 races this season. They were battling for 2nd and 3rd in prototypes at that point, but still a lot at stake.
And it's still 3 GTLM cars that lead overall, the leading GTD car is Gunnar Jeanette in the number 50 Mercedes-Benz from Jerome Blekemolen. Jerome Blekemolen in the 33 Mercedes, then Jeroen Bull in the Lamborghini, the 16 car in third position in GTD. They're 11th, 12th and 13th. The lights are out on the RS Focus and it will hit the pit lane from the shortcut, the back entrance. And it'll be Martin Tomczyk who sees the green flag first with 20 minutes exactly to run in round 3 of the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. It's the BUBBA Burgers Grand Prix on the streets of Long Beach, and immediately Ryan Dalziel tries to go around driver's left of Ryan Briscoe, and he does that. He's up into third position. Antonio Garcia moves over, and to the right, he's waving through like he's on a video game at the moment. He's not in the same class as these cars. He's got more power, he's got more downforce, and he's used it well there, and put 2 GT Le Mans cars who are battling for podium positions between himself and the next prototype. And now just Martin Tomczyk between him and the race lead. And what a run this has been for the ESM team and for the number 2, the Ligier Nissan of Ryan Dalziel. And he goes through underneath before he turns left onto Pine Avenue, and it's back in the hands of the prototypes at the front of the field. Status quo has been returned at the front, but the number 10 of Jordan Taylor is still struggling to pass some of the GTLM cars, as Jordan Taylor is going to have to worry about Jonathan Bomarito in the Soul Red number 5, the 55, excuse me, the Mazda.
Yeah, which also lost ground during that round of pit stops, by the way. It came in the second place, it went out in 4th.
Jerome Blekemolen, by the way, closing in on Gunnar Jeanette for the lead of GTD. And now just a couple of seconds behind in this traffic. Blekemolen has never won here, as through into second place goes Jordan Taylor as he crosses the line. The gap, 2.1 seconds, 18 minutes to go. Ryan Dalziel from Jordan Taylor in second place. Ligier Nissan from Dallara Cadillac. Then the BMW, the Chevrolet and the Mazda. Jonathan Bomarito trying to get through to make it a 1-2-3 for the prototypes. I tell you what, Jeremy, you'd have got great odds on 3 different engines in the top 3 of prototypes at the end of this race before we dropped the green flag just over an hour ago.
Yeah, we've got 4 different ones, haven't we, in the top 4 positions with the
yes,
the Gibson engined Orica in the 4th position in prototypes and 8th place overall. So we're inside now, just 17.5 minutes remaining in this race. Completed 48 laps. Jordan Taylor has just gone purple in sector 2. That is the fastest middle sector time of the race so far. So he is trying to close down that gap to Ryan Dalziel, and that's exactly what he's doing.
He's took a second out of the leader last time around, as they cross the line now in front of us and rumble off to right. A 15.2 is that car's fastest lap of the race, and the only person who's gone faster is Christian Fittipaldi, way back in what seems like another lifetime now. A 1:15.1 for the number 5 Cadillac. Last time around, coming down the hill, a big lock up for the leader Ryan Dalziel, and he was lucky to hold on to that one, used all his skill and experience. Now he's got to get back down to it, and does get back down and put his fastest first sector of the race in. So a little mistake there at this point of the circuit that he's at now, turning right onto Seaside and down that back straight, the straight that runs closest to the city of Long Beach. And he's really got back under concentration. That shows experience, Jeremy. Easy to try too hard and make another mistake, but Jordan Taylor in that Cadillac, which has been imperious. Oh, slippery surface or debris flag out at the final corner, and it's debris all over the exit.
Offline. I think it's sort of offline there to the left.
It's a big lump, Jeremy.
But yes, it is. It's certainly not where you should be if you're accelerating clearly off that corner, but it is that Marshall's, of course, doing exactly the right thing there to warn the drivers. Ryan Dalziel, his last lap was a 1:16.4. This lap, a 1:15.228. That is his fastest lap in the race. Also, a new fastest overall lap of the race for Jordan Taylor in second place. That's a 1:14.966, the fastest lap of the race.
7
Game
yellows.
on.
7 yellows during the 12 hours of Sebring, 5 here in 79 minutes of Long Beach. Just saying. We've said before, I remember sitting doing Michelin post-race tech with you a couple of years ago, and people saying, oh, we need more cars on the streets of Long Beach.
No.
And we saying, no, we like not being so many cars because we had more green flag racing. And I placed this before the court as evidence for our argument there, Jeremy.
Yeah, I always say that. I'll give quality over quantity any day of the week.
Yeah.
So it's not been a classic race here that we were hoping for, but it's certainly been an entertaining race. And there's still just under 15 minutes remaining. We've got a battle on for the lead of the race. A clear third place now is number 55 for John Bomarito.
And they'll be delighted, Master will be delighted in getting on the podium here. Your thoughts, by the way, at IMSA Radio on Twitter. Use the hashtag Michelin PRT for post-race tech. Hashtag Michelin PRT at IMSA Radio. Your thoughts, questions or comments on the third round of the championship this year here at Long Beach. And Jeremy and I, for our international listeners on, well, for all of our listeners on IMSA Radio, we will be staying on air for about 30 minutes after the interviews and trying to answer some of your questions. I suspect that question about quality over quantity and green flag racing over damage may come up more than the odd 1 or 2 times. Ryan DL has responded to the battle behind from, or the pressure behind from Jordan Taylor. A 14.9 from Taylor last time was his fastest lap and another quickest lap of the race, but a 14.6 from Ryan DL, and that's getting close to race record pace.
Yeah, it's way under that. It's also faster than the pole record prior to this year.
Meantime, in GTLM and 5th place overall, Martin Tomczyk has Antonio Garcia, Ryan Briscoe and Tommy Milner, as well as Kevin Estre, and not so far back, Alexander Sims.
Yes.
So the top 6 in GTLM from 5th on down, and they are pretty much in one long train. Certainly the leading pair are, well, within fighting distance, and the leading 2 at the head of the field as they head down towards the left-hander onto Pine Avenue, down the hills. Tricky braking area here, and Ryan DL was just held up in traffic for a moment in the first part of that. Loses the front end of the Nissan for a moment, but somehow grabs it back. He's on the seaside, and the little turbocharged 4-cylinder 2-litre working overtime there as the big 6.2 takes a little bit more time to get into its stride. Through to the hairpin for the 53rd time with 12.5 minutes to go. And battle. Oh, the BMW's gone! The BMW's gone! Tomczyk is out! The car just grinding to a halt. Disaster and drama at the head of GTLM. Antonio Garcia goes through into the lead. Ryan Briscoe was held up in the second. Chevrolet goes through into second. Tommy Milner takes advantage. Oh, what cruel luck for BMW. And Martin Tomczyk, the car just losing drive, coming off Pine through turn 8. And he pulled very sportingly, pulled to driver's right. He's struggling down Seaside at the moment and dropping places.
Tommy Milner made up a couple of positions on that last lap.
Well, that was, well, one of them was because the BMW
True.
blocked out the 67.
True, but he also got past the, well, yes, true, yeah. So he got past the 67. So up in the, we've got a Corvette 1-2 now, Garcia and Milner. Ryan Briscoe there, right there in the 3rd position. Kevin Estre also, and Alexander Sims is hanging on there. So we've got a Chevy, Ford, Porsche, BMW. Absolutely nose to tail. Here they are coming around on this next lap towards turn 6. Let's have a look at what happened here.
No clue what happened.
Here we go.
Oh, in fact, it was before he even got to the corner. It looked like he had an issue. And certainly did. Oh, big sideways movement for the Ford of Ryan Briscoe. Hit once, hit twice by the Corvette. No harm, no foul, I don't think. And then it was a drag race down Seaside, and the last of the late breakers was Tommy Milner. But clearly a problem for Martin Tomczyk. Tomczyk not having the best. Oh, something came out of the back of the right-hand side of the car. as if it had thrown a belt or something like that.
Maybe because it almost looked like it was out of fuel, didn't it? That's sort of what it kind of looked like.
Well, can you believe this, Jeremy? The damaged Corvette that was involved in that first lap incident is now leading the GT-LM race. At the head of the field, there's only half a second between DL and Taylor, with Jonathan Bomarito hanging in there. 5 seconds in arrears, side by side for third position, as well as Kevin Estre and Ryan Briscoe were going at it as they went into the braking area for turn 1. You need two heads and 3 sets of eyes for this one. GTD, Gunnar Jeanette just eased away a little bit from Jerome Blake-Molen. 50 from 33, the two Mercs, and Jerome Mull is the man on the move at the moment in the Lamborghini, down to just 1.8 seconds behind Blake-Molen in second. Trading fastest sector times at the head of the field, DL and Taylor. This is what we've been wanting to see from this new DPI category. 9.5 minutes to go, and Nismo Power leads a new fastest lap of the race from Jordan Taylor, courtesy of the fastest first sector. But Ryan DL put in 2 fastest sectors. No, because we've got Stephen Simpson now putting in the fastest third sector of the race in the JDC car, which is one of the LMP2s. A 14.7 for him. All of a sudden, with a bit of green flag running under their wheels. Oh, why couldn't we have had this all race? Really, so frustrating. First, second, third and fourth in GT-LM going into the first corner. Corvette. Then Ford. Then Kevin Estre. Alex Sims there as well.
A change of position for third place in GTD, coming off the hairpin. Alessandro Balzan got a run on Jerome Mull, and I'm pretty sure, yes, he's made that move going down towards turn 1. So new third place, we've got 2 Mercedes out front. Gunnar Jeanette with a pretty handy margin over Jerome Blake-Molen.
And that's Mull trying to go around the inside of some traffic at turn 1.
Got back ahead then.
So it looks to me as though Mull had got back ahead. Yeah. Yes, he has. He's got back to third. And Balzan very close to the wall there at turn 1. Discretion being the better part of Valor there.
We've got a new fastest overall lap here for Ryan DL this time. A 14.367, a new track record.
But this is exactly what we saw in qualifying with these Continental tyres here, Jeremy.
Brilliant.
What happened was, as the fuel load came down, they were able to make the tyres were great on the long run, and they were getting quicker and quicker, and that's exactly what we've been denied by the stop-start nature of this race so far. 7.5 minutes to go. Can we do 100 minutes from now, please? That's what we want to see.
Well, this has been the longest green flag segment of the race so far. It's 10 laps we've done under green now, so let's hope we can keep it going.
Can't believe you've even said that. Every time we've mentioned a car, the next shot has it been in the wall. And let's make sure that doesn't, let's try and make sure that doesn't happen. The leaders coming up a lot to a huge gaggle of traffic next time around. DL all of a sudden finds himself 1.3 seconds ahead. Now that's a huge lead in the context of what we've seen in the last 15 minutes or so. Jordan Taylor in second. Is he settling for the points here?
And
it's not.
Martin Tomczyk, by the way, has got going again. He's at the tail end of the lead lap now. He's dicing amongst a whole bunch of GTD cars, but he's back up to.
Wait,
he's back up to.
He's not. He's 3 seconds. He's up to GTD midfield pace. He's not up to GT.
No, but that could be because he's trying to work his way through the cars. Don't know. The car looked to be on song as it came past the booth on this last lap.
The leaders going past the number 54 Porsche, the Core Autosport machine, and they are absolutely together as they go down the hill again to this tricky braking area for turn 8 and 93. Great driving, whoever's in the Acura at the moment. The number 93 car, it's Andy Lally, of course it is, who just changed his turning point to allow the leader to go through. Really heads up driving. Oh, and almost coming together going through turn number 9. There was the merest amount of room between first and second, as Jordan Taylor was desperately not wanting to brake as he came through there, trying to close the gap between himself and Ryan DL. And this new mandated gear set on the Cadillac is working perfectly because he can't punch out of the corner. 3 wide across the start-finish line. Lexus, Porsche and Nissan prototype. Here comes the Cadillac. It gets into its stride and breezes past. Back into the lead. That was amazing stuff, and just that longer piece of straight line was exactly what the 6.2 litres of American muscle needed to go past the 3.8 V6.
Wow.
He goes down the inside of turn number 5. This is the new leader, the black number 10 Cadillac. Well, he's had to work for that. Couldn't get out of the hairpin, the slowest corner on the circuit, because of this new final drive mandated by the series to try and mitigate some of the advantages of that big 6.2 litre Cadillac engine. It also means that through traffic, perhaps he's not as nimble as he used to be, and they've got a BMW right with them now as well as they're going through traffic. And it's the Turner BMW, the 96, that has to be dealt with here, and Taylor thinks better of it. Oh, down the inside, the 24 car hits the leader. Oh my goodness me. And that again is just 2 cars into one, not going. The 24 BMW with Martin Tomczyk, as Jeremy said, seemingly up to pace again after falling from the GTM lead, just down the inside there. And for a moment, Jordan Taylor was getting pushed sideways by a bit of Munich metal.
Yeah, and with all this, battling your way through these through this traffic here, the third place car, Jonathan Bomberito, the Mazda DPI, he's only 4 seconds behind, and Stephen Simpson has been closing in quite quickly on, well, not quite quickly, but he's certainly closing in the 4th position as well for JDC Miller Motorsports. That's the bright yellow number 85 car. This is thoroughly entertaining now.
Yes, and doesn't that just make you wish we'd had a bit more green flag running? Leaders now mired in trouble. Oh, that's the battle for third position in GTD, and more side by side. This looks like a Saturday night dirt track race.
Paint trading there.
63, Alessandro Balzan and Jerome Moule.
The Mercedes are long gone in the lead, but third place, wow.
Got a Jeanette and Blakemolen now 5 seconds behind him. Big side-by-side accident, action. Right, what happens? Well, this is the pass for the lead round the outside for Jordan Taylor, using the straight line speed of the Cadillac. He can't use the torque as easily now, so he has to let that car get up to its terminal velocity, and he planned and schemed and did that perfectly. First, second and third in GTLM coming to turn 9 to complete their 61st lap. Corvette, Ford. Antonio Garcia in the 3, the leading Corvette, then Tommy Milner, then Ryan Briscoe in the 67. It's Kevin Estre who's just 3 seconds further back in the 912 Porsche. Tommy Milner cruelly robbed of victory when he was nerfed out of the lead by the Porsche last year, which allowed Nick Tandy to take the victory. Second place at the moment, riding shotgun for his teammates.
Look, we were watching the leaders in GTLM going into turn 1. The 2 Corvettes absolutely nose to tail. Look who's only 3 or 4 car lengths behind.
Ryan Briscoe.
Well, that will be Ryan Briscoe, yeah, in car number 6 and 7, the Ford. So Chevrolet versus Ford. 2 Chevrolets against 1 Ford it is at the moment at the head of the field in GTLM. 60 laps completed, but inside 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, and Tommy Milner, as I just said, Jeremy, he knows what it's like to be nerfed out of the lead. He'll be playing backstop at the moment. This has got to be a 1-2 for Chevrolet. This would be another, I think, another unexpected result for the oldest now of the GTLM cars. But there's life in that old thing yet. This would be win 104 for Corvette Racing if it does happen. Meantime, Jordan Taylor has set sail, and it's 5.7 seconds. So once he got past Ryan DL, there was nothing the Scotsman could do. And the Scotsman down in the 18s now, as Jordan Taylor is still in the 14s, in fact. They'll be starting the last lap for these GTLM cars as they go past us. In GTD, Gunnar Jeanette survived a close call on the back straight and is leading comfortably from Jerome Blakemolen. 5.6 seconds, the gap between the 2 Mercedes, 50 and 33, with Alessandro Balzan just a couple of seconds ahead of Jerome Moule, but seemingly having won that battle that has been training pain for some time. Oh! And at the turn number 9 again.
Mull.
It's Mull. It's Jerome Mull, was in 4th position in GTD. There's a prototype in there as well, and I think that's the 70 Mazda of Joel Miller, is it? Very difficult to see the Lamborghini. Big car. Last lap. White flag is out.
And the yellow flags will be at turn 9 on the yellow flags, and they're overtaking here for the leaders in GTLM.
Well, both of those cars have moved amazingly after what seemed to be heavy contact. So this is not going to be the last lap for these guys, Jeremy, because the leader hasn't come through, or is he? White flag is out now, so they will have to do another lap because they're right in behind the number 10 of Jordan Taylor, cruising to another Cadillac victory. You can take their fuel, you can take away their punch out of the final corner, but you can't hold a good team back. And the Cunningham and Alta team claim another victory in the 2017 IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. Cadillac on the streets of Long Beach win the BUBBA Sports Car Grand Prix. So close for Ryan DL. He'll bring the number 2 Ligier Nissan home in 2nd place, and Mazda will have their best result of the season with Jonathan Bomarito on the 55 in 3rd. In GTLM, Antonio Garcia, Tommy Milner and Ryan Briscoe. Briscoe as close as he's been. Oh, and a huge kerfuffle again at the final corner. The 15 Lexus, the 86. And Tom Long is struggling in the 70 Mazda. I think he may have a tyre going down. There's 3 cars in the way of these leaders. The 16, this is a nightmare. This is the battle for the lead. The 2 Corvettes very sensibly going side by side there. So the Ford couldn't get through. That was genius. Genius work from the guys, but who's going to get the run to the line? It's going to be the 4 car. Tommy Milner robbed by being punted out by a Porsche last year at the final corner, courtesy of the Turner Motorsport BMW and 2 of the cars blocking the road. Is going to take GTLM at the final moments, and Briscoe will go through in 2nd place. Antonio Garcia will be fuming. He's dropped to 4th to 5th. Kevin Estre is on the podium for Porsche. Let's go down to Ricky Taylor. Another win for the number 10 Cadillac. Shea Adam.
Another win, 3 in a row in this season, 3 in a row at Long Beach. You and Jordan have this track figured out. Doesn't matter what the car is. You just feel comfy here, don't you?
Oh my gosh, I still can't believe it. I mean, Jordan did. I don't know anybody that could do what he just did, and that was incredible. When we came out after that last, sequence of pit stops, or the only sequence of pit stops, I saw the ESM car was there. Dane was so quick, and everything wasn't going our way at that point. And I was thinking, we're gonna get good points or whatever. And Jordan just drove incredibly and made all those moves. And what can we say about our Cadillac? I mean, no matter what happens, the car's been running absolutely flawlessly. Our Cunningham and Alta boys are awesome in the pits, and the strategy was perfect. So I just can't believe it. I just got to run about a mile down to victory lane to meet Jordan there.
Congrats.
Thank you.
It was Robert Alon who caused that accident, which also wrapped up the
unnecessary.
Yeah, wrapped up the Acura and the Jens Klingman BMW. Jeff Siegel it was in the Acura, and that allowed the number 4 car to go through. And there was more accidents further back. Oh, that was when Mull was spun around. Now, he was spun around by the Park Place Porsche, right, and then Tom Long had nowhere to go. And there was a couple of people, including the 991 car with Wolf Hensler, who just about made that through. Shea Adam, more from the guys at the sharp end of the field.
Cooper McNeil, it's been since 2013 since you've been on the top step of the podium, and now you're getting to do it in Long Beach. This feels pretty good.
Yeah, it feels really good. I hate to say it's a long time coming, but it really was. We had some luck on our side. Fortunately, finally this year we had some good luck. Horrible luck at Daytona, even worse luck at Sebring. So finally, luck was on our side, and we played some good strategy, made some good strategy plays, and it all came together. Had a couple fortunate yellows that got us to the end on fuel. Otherwise, we would have had stopped, and yeah, it just worked out.
It's gonna make the champagne taste even better.
Yeah, no kidding.
Mazda have their best ever prototype finish with the 3rd place from Jonathan Bomarito, Ryan DL 2nd with the ESM, the Patron team, Alicia Nissan, but there's still no stopping the Cadillac. The responsible adult has just sent me a message from IMSA Radio headquarters saying, "I've seen less chaotic chariot races," and I think that is the quote of the day. Have your say, please. Hashtag Michelin PRT, post-race tech, brought to you by Michelin, coming up after our main broadcast on IMSA Radio via IMSA.com and the player at RadioLeMans.com. This is going to take a bit of unravelling after this one. This is an extraordinary result. Cadillac win, you might have guessed the number 10 would have done that, but who had 2 and 55 as 2nd and 3rd? Next time out the quarter, we'll be running the IHG Rewards Club Podium Predictor at podiumpredictor.com. Shea had 10 and 2 in the top 3. I'm not sure anybody else would have had today. In GTLM, it should have been a Corvette Chevrolet Corvette 1-2, but for the Robert Alon caused incident, and I've got a feeling Robert Alon and Dirk Muller are going to be spoken to very, very severely by race control after their antics at the final corner. Ryan Briscoe pulls the Ford through the carnage to 2nd place for the 67 in GTLM, and Kevin Estre goes through into 3rd and on the podium. In GT Daytona, Gunnar Jeanette and Cooper McNeil take the 50 Mercedes to the top step of the podium. Jerome Blakemolen, the 33 car, in 2nd, and Alessandro Balzan swapped placed, kissed the wall, swapped backwards and forwards with Jerome Mull, but takes the 63 Scuderia Corsa Ferrari into 3rd position on the podium. Jeremy has the unofficial points at the end of round 3 of the championship.
Well, yeah, in prototypes it's nice and easy because Ricky and Jordan Taylor have won all 3 races so far this season. Behind them it's a bit more tricky. And I haven't got to the bottom of that yet because the 2nd and 3rd place cars coming into this weekend and 4th place cars didn't score any points at all. Well, one of them didn't score any points at all, and the other 2 scored minimal points. So I'll have to figure that all out. There's a lot of maths to do here. I think Joe Bosa and Christian Fittipaldi will still hold on to 2nd, but it'll be a huge lead in prototypes for that Konica Minolta team and the Jordan Taylor and the Taylor brothers.
Gunnar Jeanette, Jan Magnussen and the Taylor brothers have now won this race 3 times apiece as they are heading down to the podium. The recovery goes on at the final corner. A thank you, please, to all of our flag marshals and our recovery crews here on the streets of Long Beach. Again, we applaud them and appreciate their coming out and volunteering so that we can get our motor racing done. We simply can't run the races without you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Their work will continue. Just about out of time here from Long Beach. Stay with us on IMSA Radio for Michelin post-race tech coming immediately afterwards. We'll leave the TV pictures in a moment or two with you and remind you that our next race is in the wide open spaces of Texas and at the Circuit of the Americas just outside Austin. There'll be a few teams here that'll be pleased to see slightly fewer concrete walls around a race that has really only come alive in the last half an hour or so after that final caution. And let's head down to Shea Adam for our winner in GT Le Mans. Tommy Milner robbed at the final corner this year. That's payback, Shea Adam.
Man, Tommy, what a finish to the race. Totally opposite from 12 months ago. A lot better to be on this end, huh?
What a weird finish to a race. Unbelievable. I mean, in some ways, I had experience already with a blocked hairpin. That happened to me earlier, and I kind of knew where to. I thought I knew where to go. It's just a guess at that point. Nobody knows anything at that point, and I mean, I figured the race was done and over with there. At that point, figured full course would come out, and it's just kind of how you end. And the last time I tried to go to the outside, and that was blocked, so I figured I'll wait for the inside to open up, and it opened up, and I got the checkered flag. I don't exactly know how that all worked. I think I was a better chess player today than a race car driver.
Well, congrats nonetheless.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot happier than he was 12 months ago. I remember listening in from Silverstone to less than pragmatic Tommy Milner after he'd been nerfed into the wall by the Porsche. Nick Tandy nipped through to win there. Bad news for his teammate though, lost a 1-2, was nailed on 1-2 there. And that's interesting as well. Maybe that's a question that will get asked in Michelin post-race test. Why didn't the full course yellows come out immediately that the track was blocked and freeze the field? Let's just recap very quickly as we wrap up from the streets of Long Beach. The formalities to come for those of you here trackside. It is the number 10 Cadillac that wins overall from the number 2 ESM Ligia Nissan, and then the 55 Mazda in third. In GTLM, Chevy number 4 from Ford 67 from Porsche 912, and in GT Daytona,
From it, why is that working? Nothing else.
So apologies there, we've just lost all power up in the booth. Just come back for a moment. Congratulations to all of our winners. We'll say goodbye. Join us again on IMSA Radio and TV at COTA at the Circuit of the Americas. We'll leave you in the capable hands of the formalities down at the podium. And remember, all of the season, it's not always as chaotic as that, but it's always as entertaining. The whole season of the IMSA WeatherTech Championship live here on IMSA Radio.
Absolutely.